How did your high school crush turn out as an adult? Story 1. My only girlfriend in high school was my crush. Her mom banned her from dating me after about a year because my girlfriend admitted to her mom that we were fooling around. This was about 20 years ago. She's still living with her mom, no kids, and as far as I know, never dated seriously after her mom broke us up. She still has the same job from high school, too. It's like her mom went way into protective overdrive and my former girlfriend never grew up. Story 2. Mine was my best friend. She turned out to be a pedophile. She always liked younger guys. Like, when she was 17, she had a 13-year-old boyfriend, which was weird, but we were kids, and I didn't think about it much. Turns out she continued to like younger teens as she grew into her 20s and 30s, making me wonder what I ever saw in them. My English teacher still looks fine as fuck. Mine was ancient back in 1985. If she was still around now, she must be a vampire. God bless you, Miss Cunningham. You put up with me, tried your best, and I still turned out like shit. His friend murdered him over a girl. He had a roller coaster of a life. I admire him more than ever and more than most people I know, but I can't wrap my head around why I ever found him physically attractive. Maybe it was always just his heart. By age 25, he had a PhD, a wife, and was a captain in the Navy. By 30, he had 2 PhDs, a small business where he made a metric-ass ton of money, and his wife was pregnant. By 31, he was diagnosed with stage 4 skin cancer that swiftly spread to his lymph nodes, bones, esophagus, and a few other places. He was told he had minimal chance of making it 5 more years. Even with the best health insurance money can buy, it still basically wiped him out. 7 years later, he's living a comfortable but not extravagant life as a civilian contractor for the Navy, same wife, and 2 happy, healthy kids, and spends most of his free time advocating for better public health care. She committed suicide. Found out later she had a crush on me too. Fuck life sometimes. I briefly worked with mine and didn't realize it was her until I left for another job. She looked almost unrecognizable, but it was 15 years after I last saw her. She's married with a couple of kids now, so a pretty standard life, I guess. Began acting. It's weird. Every so often I'll see a commercial or something and be like, oh, hey, I know them. My crush is an extremely sweet person, so I'm glad. I remember walking up to her and asking if we could talk in private, and she said you can say what you need in front of everyone. Her group of friends were all around, so I asked if she wanted to go on a date. She burst out laughing and said, yeah, no. Shit was rough, man. I looked her up last year and she's a cage fighter now. What? I guess she's always been a pro at hurting people for others' entertainment. I had 2 unrealized crushes in high school. One is a teacher and a musician. He is married and has either 1 or 2 kids. We've kept in loose contact via social media and ran into each other at a New Year's Eve party shortly before she got married. I was introduced to her now husband as favorite ex ever. He seemed like a decent dude and I'm happy for her. I believe the other became a U.S. attorney. I have not heard from her since Google Plus almost became a social media thing. I imagine she is still very productive and would be disappointed in my life choices. He's an attractive gay man. I am none of those things. I met her in 1987. We got married 5 years ago. We used to go to the same punk shows. That's where we met. You fell in love with a girl at the rock show? Found her on Tinder. She said I was hot. Pointed out that I was that loser she used to know in high school. Had a big laugh. Been a little over a year. Now we send each other memes and hang out occasionally when the pandemic isn't being a bitch. So you're saying there's a chance? She's still hot, successful, and wealthy entrepreneur, and married someone with the same first name as me and who quit his job to brew beer. I crushed on her for a bit. Didn't think she was interested, so I dated others. Then come to find out she crushed on me senior year. I was too dumb and blind. We connected freshman year of college. She wrote me letters, and by the time I wised up, she had moved on. No one to blame but myself. What if you built a time machine and went back in time, then changed your last name? They both ended up as great guys. One has a huge family and is a minister. The other only has one child and is a college professor. Both married, nice people, and are happy. They were really good guys in high school and ended up being really good adults. I've got both of them on Facebook and we keep in touch peripherally as we stayed friends over the years. I was a freshman and had a crush on a senior. To add to it, she was a cheerleader and her brother played quarterback for the football team and got a college scholarship. She showed up at a football game a couple years later with a baby in tow. She's married now and back in her hometown. That's about all I know. An insanely talented molecular biology researcher at Boston, and she's still insanely attractive. Considering Boston is a hub for life sciences, and that most researchers in the field start out with a mol bio, saying, molecular biology researcher at Boston, is essentially the same as saying programmer in Bay Area. I don't know about you guys, but I had way too many crushes in high school. LOL, yeah, I read the post title and thought, which one? My first high school crush who sat next to me in freshman year English was a really cute punk rock girl, and she's gone on to become an incredibly hot fitness model. Jackie was a rich punk rocker, a silver spoon on the paper plate. Haha, my husband. Our first marriages didn't work out, and we reconnected after our divorces. If only I would have confessed I had a crush on him in high school, might have saved myself a lot of trouble, LOL. Became a professional cheerleader, died of breast cancer at 34. Googling names from high school is crazy. My crush became an NFL cheerleader, still alive though, and no, we never dated and she didn't remember me at the class reunion. Back when I was younger and crushing hard, I got on AOL Instant Messenger and had gotten my crush's screen name from a friend. I worked up the nerve to start a conversation with him, and soon after some awkward small talk, he sent me a message in Comic Sans, black background, red lettering, and in French. I then went to Google for translation and found out he had just called me a pig in French. Being a seemingly awkward and chubby teenager, I was literally crushed. The heartbreak was only made worse by remembering that a few weeks prior I had selected to take French class the next year and couldn't change it. Years later, now that I've blossomed, he follows me on every social media platform, has reached out a couple of times to try to flirt and hang out. Hard pass. I believe he's moved away and is a teacher now. The now you want me because I'm hot attempt. I had a lady try that post-college. Maybe had she not been so mean about turning me down when I asked her out before, I would have considered it. I never made a move in high school. About 7 years after graduating, I saw her on social media and said, what the hell, and asked her out. We've been dating for about 2 years, and I'm about to pop the big question. Ended up committing suicide a few years after high school. She was a teacher and got caught having an affair with a female student. Hot douche who doesn't really do much except go to the gym. To be fair, that's how he was in high school. I just liked it back then. Overdosed and died last year. I got to see him before he was taking off life support with a really good mutual friend we shared, organ donor too. It was surreal seeing him dwarfed by all those machines. He had one of the largest hearts I'd ever come across. Still a 10 for looks. I'm sure she kept on as the amazing, kind person she is. She moved to another country, speaks multiple languages, and is more successful than I imagined. She seems happy, but we haven't talked since the time I told her how I felt about 20 years ago. Went on to be a teenage model for hair products, graduated from Yale, toured Europe, opened her own successful ceramics company that is sold worldwide and is often written up in magazines. Makes me feel like shit every time I think of her.